Hello, friends, and welcome back to the series Julius Caesar. And this time we're going to study the act first and scene second and third. Please just correct this thing. It's act first and scene second and third of the very famous Shakespearean tragedy Julius Caesar. It's presented by me, Palak Sharma. Few things about me: I'm an economics honors student, a poet at heart, theatre geek, a mixture of Keynes and Shakespeare. And once you've finished watching the lesson, do not forget the three R's and the S. Rate, review, recommend, and share the lessons. And here's my link. Follow me on Unacademy. Now here we are on Act First and Scene Second of the play Julius Caesar. Now there are a couple of different kind of conversations going on in this scene. There's Caesar in California and Mark Antony talking, and the other conversation is between Cassius and Brutus. They're going back and forth about who Caesar really is. Now, for this kind of question, it is the main foundational question of the early part of the play. That is Caesar dangerous? Caesar is the most odd leader of Roman Empire presently. So the legitimate question is Caesar as a politician. Is he, in other words, a good politician? Like, does he have the Roman people as his first and foremost consideration? That's a question. So, for the answer of this, Cassius, no. Mark Antony, yes. Brutus, unsure. So, Brutus is not really sure. He's not in real sense exactly how to think of Julius Caesar. And this is a fairly long scene, and there are movement of different players in this scene. So, there's some interesting moments on this play. For example, this is Brutus, for your information. So, in the opening sequence, we see Shakespeare's point is that he's very superstitious. He's a very superstitious cat. He wants Calpurnia to be somewhat close to Mark Antony. He wants that. Antony, while running the course, should touch Calpurnia. She should touch Antony. So that somehow he comes close to Calpurnia to touch her. She touches him, and maybe she'll be able to get a child. So the second thing is the most important part, the relationship between Mark Antony and Julius Caesar. Now, if you've not heard of the term brown nosing, it's when you're trying too hard to please someone in authority should respect you. So Mark Antony is the brown noser to Julius Caesar. Fine. The third point, the Brutus's first word about soothsayer. So there's a soothsayer who comes and announces that the Ides of March is not good for Julius Caesar. So he's a cat out of the crowd. He yells at Caesar, "Beware the Ides of March." Ides means the middle, and so the 15th of March. So Caesar says an interesting phrase to him. He says he is a dreamer. So it kind of means two things. That firstly, he kind of maybe plays with magic, black magic, and second thing, maybe he's a dreamer because he's a madman, so leave him alone, this kind of thing. The next thing is that Brutus's next thing, he says that I do like some part of the quick spirit that is in Mark Antony, not hinder Cassius your desires, I leave you. So it is an interesting conversation between Brutus and Cassius about what's going on with Caesar. Now, Brutus is a very interesting character for Shakespeare. He'll create a guy who's a thinker. And it's fairly clear that Cassius wants to lead Brutus through a series of questions and observations to point out that something is wrong with JC, like Julius Caesar. And Brutus says, Cassius, be not deceived. Now, one of the central themes of the play is deception. That is to say, how do you know when someone is actually telling you the truth, or someone is actually trying to help you versus hurt you? How can you tell by someone's face? So there's one famous line from Shakespearean play Macbeth, and it says, "There is no art to find the mind's construction in the face." That is, you can't tell by looking at people what they're really thinking. So then again, deception is an important part of the play. Now, fifth thing is that you should have noticed that the first question Cassius asks is, "Can you see your own face?" to Brutus. And Brutus replies, "No. The eyeball can't see itself. It has to see a reflection." And that is so true. Then Cassius brings him himself as a mirror to Brutus and says that he'll hold the mirror and make his observation, and then he'll start thinking differently. Brutus will start thinking differently. Now, this is interesting because Brutus is a loyal guy to Caesar, and Cassius plants the seed of doubt in his mind. Now, one more thing which is important is that this is a play for speeches matter. Shakespeare want to play out the power of rhetoric fact in this play, the power that contains certain kind of words, like what certain kinds of words can affect people and make people realize things. They have a very scintillating effect on people's mind. The other person doesn't say anything, or he doesn't say anything. He just asks a question. He just drops a question. Now this is the capacity to use the language to kind of lead to manipulate. This is a play where language allows people to manipulate other people. So then there's showing off stage, like there's shouting at the off stage. There are three times people shout. So Brutus asks that what is it then? So he says this, yes, now what happens is, yes, the mud wants to make Caesar the king. The sound of the three times which we have heard off stage is the sound of the mud. The mud we have studied in the last lesson, that the people, the commoners, the plebeians who will want to make Caesar the king. Brutus says he's a little upset, but but Cassius again pinches him. He says that you are not little upset, you're a lot upset. And then Brutus, step by step, gets into Cassius's trap, and he does make him a conspirator, a co-conspirator. Cassius says, men are sometimes the masters of their fate. He says to Brutus, the fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Now, underlings is again an important thing, because Julius Caesar is trying to be a big boss according to Cassius, and we are like Brutus, Antony, and Cassius, and Casca, and Cinna. They are the people who are allowing him to do that. So this is the time to fight back. He's asking Brutus that you are an honorable man. You need to fight back. The word honor has been used more than 5 times in this speech itself, in this scene itself. So Brutus says, what will you work me to? Like, he's aware of the peer pressure Brutus is trying, like Cassius is trying to create on him. So he asks, he's confused, that he knows it already, that Cassius is up to something with him, but he's not actually aware what exactly is he trying to do with Brutus. How is he manipulating his mindset? So Caesar's observation of Cassius again is very important, because there's again a scene where Mark Antony is with Caesar. And then Caesar comments upon the overshadowing of Cassius's character. He says that I really like people around me who don't have the look of Cassius. There's something about him I don't trust. Right, this is Cassius in this picture. So Julius Caesar is again there is a dramatic irony actually. There's a dark irony in this play which says that in this play Julius Caesar is right most of the time, but he doesn't know it. So it's an on-stage dramatic irony. It's a dark irony. Now, behind the scenes, the crown is offered to Julius Caesar 3 times, and all time he says is no, 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 I don't want it. The second time, no, 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 I don't want it, and the third time he'll say no. He's about to take it, but he has an epileptic fit, so he falls down. He has the falling down sickness, and this is again important. Cassius is quick to point out that he isn't the one falling down. Caesar's not the one falling down, it's we who are falling down. That is to say, Julius Caesar is he is a king. He is counting to have all the power, and we are letting it happen. We need to stop it now. It's again a way to pinch Brutus. And at the end of the scene, very final lines of the scene, Caesar has left. Now Caesar has left, Brutus has left, everybody has left the scene, and now there's just Cassius in the scene. He's alone, he's kind of villain of the play. So there's again a soliloquy. Now he has a dialogue. Well, Brutus, thou art noble, yet I see thy honorable metal may be wrought. From that it is disposed, therefore it is meet that noble minds keep ever with their likes. For who so firm that cannot be seduced? So he says, I can manipulate you, and the fact that you are honorable ultimately can lead to your downfall. So I can manipulate you because you think of yourself so honorable. You can be seduced. That's true. And then he says, Caesar doth bear me hard, but he loves Brutus. If I were Brutus now and he were Cassius, he should not humour me. I will this night in several hands in at his window throw, as if they came from several citizens, writings all tending to the great opinion that Rome holds of his name. Now Cassius has got a game. He needs to get through Caesar, but the way is through Brutus. And the fact that he'll throw letters that will kind of flatter Brutus, that you're a great guy, you're the best Roman ever, and this will plant a seed in his mind, in Brutus's mind, and he shall begin to fear Caesar's growing power. This is again important because this is the starting of the downfall of Brutus's mindset about Caesar. The second is the scene third. It's night of the March 14th. Now, again, March 14th is important because it's just one day before the Ides of March. The night is bad, nasty weather is going to happen, and anytime we have bad weather in a Shakespearean play, it means something bad is about to happen. So, Elizabethan people really believed in this kind of stuff. So, these are terrible omens, in other words. So there are two different ways these omens are interpreted. The first one is Casca. He says that he's terrified and he fears that these omens will lead to something terrible to come. And the second opinion is that of Cassius. He says that he interprets that this is a sign that this is this is going to lead to downfall of Julius Caesar and he's going to be overthrown. And then Casca and Cassius, they agree that Julius Caesar's rise to power has to be stopped. Then there's Cinna. He's another plotter. Cinna is another plotter. They're all C's. I'm minding you, don't be confused. There's Cassius, there's Casca, and there's Cinna. So there's another plotter. He comes and then they all decide how to convince Brutus. Now the question is, why is it important to convince Brutus? Why has Brutus to be a part of the plan? Because why does he need Brutus to be a significant part of the plan? Why can't they do it themselves? Because he's an honorable man, and so Julius Caesar will trust him. Because if he begins to be a part of the conspiracy, the plot will gain legitimacy. In other words, if you can get Brutus in the plan, the evil plan will suddenly start losing and looking like a good idea. So the thing is, you got to convince Brutus of this, and so they decide that they'll be throwing letters at his home which will praise him, give him laudation, saying you are the best Roman on the earth, and gradually Brutus will fall into the trap that the co-conspirators have created, and ultimately he'll be the one who will be murdering Caesar. So in this way, the plan will be legitimate. The plot will be legitimate enough for the plebeians, the Roman public to accept. They'll see that if Brutus is a part of the plan, then we are cool with it. Then just go ahead with the plan. Then there's no fault in it because Brutus is an honorable man, as we'll be seeing again and again in the future parts of the play. And this is it. Next, we'll be so this is important part. We have the superstition, the relationship between Antony and Julius Caesar, the soothsayers, the conversation between Brutus and Cassius, and the rhetoricism in Cassius's words when he praises Caesar, but not with the great infliction. The praise is just on the surface. It's just transitory. There's no real praise in the inside Cassius's mind for Caesar. He's always bad. He's always speaking bad about Caesar. So this is it. And next we'll be studying the act second. We'll be coming to the act second, scene first and all. So this is it. Keep reading Shakespeare, the text, and have a nice day. Thank you. Do not forget the 3 R's in the S. Rate, review, recommend, and share the lessons.